Hello, and welcome to Lesson 3 of the Learning to Feed course. My name is Rachel McGowan. In this lesson, we will be covering food allergies and safety during feeding. If you have any questions that come up throughout the course, please let me know in the comment section below. Again, I encourage you to discuss amongst each other about your experiences and if you have any tips throughout these lessons. I'm sure other new parents like yourself will benefit from your support. Giving your baby foods that cause allergic reactions can be very scary. In this lesson, we will cover what foods are most likely to cause a reaction, when to introduce these foods, and when to discuss this with your pediatrician. To start this discussion, I want to emphasize that you should always discuss your baby's risk level and family history with your pediatrician. Around 4 to 6% of children have food allergies. Any food can cause a food allergy. However, there are 8 main foods that you should watch out for. These are eggs, milk, peanuts, tree nuts, fish, shellfish, wheat, and soy. When you introduce these foods, pay special attention to your infant to see if they have any unusual symptoms. For example, a mild symptom might be a skin rash, while a severe symptom could be anaphylaxis, which has symptoms such as hives, wheezing, swollen lips and tongue, and repetitive coughing. Vomiting and swelling can also be symptoms of an allergic reaction. If your baby is having a reaction, contact your pediatrician, call 911 if swelling, and stop feeding. Waiting 3 to 5 days between each new food and introducing in a quiet home setting can help you tell which food might be causing the reaction, especially for these high-risk foods. Earlier introduction of these highly allergenic foods after 6 months, such as seafood, cooked tofu, and peanuts, may help prevent your baby from developing an allergy. This extra time allows their developing immune system a chance to recognize the food. This recommendation of introducing early, however, is excluding cow's milk, as it is recommended that you wait until 12 months to feed this. If you have a food allergy question, it is best to consult with your pediatrician. Your baby might have a high risk of a food allergy if there is a family history of that allergy, or if your baby is showing signs of eczema. If they do not have these, there will most likely not be a problem. Here were some helpful tips from a pediatrician about how to introduce these foods. If your baby has a high risk of a food allergy, start by putting a small amount on their arm or thigh. Peanut butter is sticky, so it could be difficult for your baby to eat. So you can mix it with some breast milk or formula to make it easier for them to swallow. And finally, start off by feeding your baby mild, less fishy types of seafood, like tilapia or cod, to get them used to the flavors. One last note on the safety of foods. Honey should never be given to babies, including on crackers or yogurt. For babies without food allergies, it is important that they are exposed to the widest variety of foods possible. Restricting foods from your infant can lead to an intolerance later on if they were not exposed to that food while their immune system was developing. There are some dietary choices that you may make that work well for you that may not be the best choices for your infant. Now, I'm going to ask you to write down what you would do in a situation that I will present. If you feel comfortable writing your answer down in the comments, please feel free to do so. Imagine that you are in the following situation. You have followed a special diet for several years and would like your baby to eat the same foods as you, but you know that restricting major food groups from their diets could also be harmful. What should you do? Thank you for all that answered in the comment section. There are several answers to this problem, and I look forward to reading about all of your thoughts. In this situation, I would suggest feeding your baby a variety of foods throughout the day, including foods that may be restricted on your diet. If you follow this diet due to a food intolerance, like gluten or dairy, discuss the situation with your pediatrician before proceeding. However, when you eat as a family at dinner, you can give them the food that follows your diet, so you only have to make one meal. This allows them to have a broad palate without giving up family meals. When it comes to safety, there are several things to be aware of. Proper food preparation and food storage can prevent foodborne illness, and knowing choking risks and how to perform CPR on infants can be life-saving. Please pause the video to download the handout below titled Safety, which we will now go through. When preparing all food, but especially for your infant, you should always follow these 4 steps. 1. Clean to prevent the spread of germs. This includes washing hands, utensils, and surfaces often. 2. You should separate raw meats, eggs, and poultry from foods that will not be cooked. 3. Cook your food thoroughly, making sure the internal temperature is high enough to kill germs that can make you sick. Finally, refrigerate promptly. Bacteria that can cause food poisoning multiplies the quickest between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. How long you keep food is also a factor. Throwing food away in this time frame will prevent bacteria from becoming dangerous. Strained fruits and vegetables can stay in the fridge for 2 to 3 days and in the freezer for 6 to 8 months. Strained meats and eggs can stay in the fridge for 1 day and the freezer for 1 to 2 months. Meat and vegetable combinations can stay in the fridge for 1 to 2 days and the freezer for 1 to 2 months. Homemade baby foods can stay in the fridge for 1 to 2 days and the freezer for 1 to 2 months. If you notice any of the following symptoms, blood and diarrhea, high fever, not taking fluids, or vomiting, see your doctor immediately. Another concern during this time period is the risk of choking. Here are some strategies to lower choking risk. Have your baby sit up while eating, especially in a high chair or other safe place. Avoid eating in a car or stroller. And avoid giving foods with large chunks. An extensive list of foods that should be cut up or pureed can be found on the handout attached to this lesson. Under this lesson, there is also a link to an infant CPR course through the Red Cross. I highly encourage you to look into a course like this because it doesn't hurt to be prepared for anything. Thank you for listening to the 3rd lesson of the Learning2Feed course. We are so happy to have you learning with us. As always, please let me know if you have any questions or comments below. When you are ready, Lesson 4 will cover buying baby food and food labels.